Hi everyone, I'm Ken from Crypto Trading KS. If you're new, welcome, and welcome back to our regular community. Let's run the numbers. Bitcoin currently trading at 33,777, down 0.14%. Ethereum currently trading at 2124, up 0.48%. We noticed the stable coins, USDC, DAI, USDT, BUSD, they're all currently red, which indicates that money is flowing from the stable coins back into the crypto market. Let's just have a quick look at the Ethereum tokens. I'd just like to let you know, if you're new to the community, everything I do for you is free. My focus is to help you to become more of a financial blessing to yourself and those you love by just sharing inside information on the crypto market. I focus on the technicals. I make money from the markets, so I don't have any pay groups, reports, indicators, anything like that. And more importantly, I really am against leverage trading. We'll see why in this particular episode. Let's get into a news sentiment analysis. Bitcoin froze when Binance froze when Bitcoin crashed. That's pretty negative. Let's look at that one in greater depth in a minute. 3 Robinhood stocks to buy right now that are better than Bitcoin. I don't think they looked at the previous episode. Self-proclaimed Satoshi arrested over Bitcoin fraud. Well, that's definitely negative. Naughty Satoshi. Zurich looks at the original Bitcoin protocol. Well, there, why not? Paraguay's deputy tweets about mega Bitcoin surprise. Well, that sounds everybody likes surprises. That sounds cool. Experts use to, I think that's trade Bitcoin, hopefully. That's cool. 2 crypto assets rally 300% in just 30 days. Wow, that's excellent. We should look into that one as well. Bitcoin stalls at 33K. Okay. That's not good. Parliament of West Africa Economic Bloc cautions. Okay, that's negative. Bitcoin makes a rare appearance amongst Sonoma County. I know this one. This is a I think it was around $2,000 purchase of a hearing aid. First basically ear doctor that accepted Bitcoin for a payment. Pretty cool. Okay, let's look at this one. I think this is really quite important to investigate. This is from the Wall Street Journal. Okay, so Binance froze when Bitcoin crashed. Now, I want to tell you something about exchanges in general. They always freeze. I had 4 actually platforms into one particular exchange of a country, and all 4 froze when there was a really steep descent in price. I could always tell if the market was going up or down, basically because the system stopped working. This is nothing new to any investor. Okay, but it sounds pretty bad. So what's happening here? So basically this person built up $50,000 in savings and he wanted to use it to get a better education, which is fantastic. Good on you. And the money disappeared in 7 minutes on May 19th. That was the crash. Wow. How could it disappear in 7 minutes? He must have been leveraged. So Binance froze for over an hour just as the price of Bitcoin and other currencies, cryptocurrencies, plunged. No, he made leverage bets on the rise of Bitcoin, but he was locked out. This is exactly what happens when market conditions go south. This happens all the time. Anybody experienced in the trading and investing area knows this. As losses steepen, the exchange seized the margin collateral and liquidated the holdings. He lost 50,000 plus 24,000 he had made in previous trades. This is the cost of leveraging. It disappeared. His life savings and everything he made disappeared in 7 minutes. I feel really sorry for this guy. That's really horrible. I think it's important you understand. Anytime you leverage, this is what you are looking at. you can lose every single cent in your account. It's only for experts. If you're trading under any form of leverage, or if you don't know if it's leverage or not, you really need to find out. If you're trading under spot, that means you own whatever it is that you're buying. You can't get a margin call. You don't pay fees, daily funding fees, anything like that. You can hold it forever. It is literally your asset. This is really, really tough. Please don't be a story like this. Do not use leverage unless you're an expert. And if you're an expert, you can do whatever you want because you're an expert. I've always said that crypto is volatile. Prepare yourself for the best and worst case scenarios. I'd like to demonstrate with this particular chart. You can see the price action moving down. This is an 83% reduction down here. Let's see how this thing plays out. That's capitulation. That's a falling knife. That's the thing that we buy in this community. Now, look at it coming up. It's a very interesting thing to see how crypto works. It is by nature an exponential asset class. It literally acts exponentially. And it does so very, very, very quickly and catches most people off guard. So have a look at this. This is what we started with. Down here, capitulation, 83.63% decrease. From this point up to that peak is 970.68%. This is why buying the falling knife and using the exponential nature of crypto against itself is what we do on this channel. We always think very strategically and commercially, just like an institution. The reason that crypto eats technicals for breakfast, not just because of the nature of the market, it's an exponential asset, but the timing of the market. Here we look at the regular trading hours for the US stock market. This is from NASDAQ. The New York Stock Exchange, NYSE, and the NASDAQ Stock Exchange, NASDAQ, 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Pretty nice, huh? 6.5 hours during the week, it's open. But what does that mean? It means 5 days a week for 6.5 hours, 32.5 hours a week. And what is crypto open? It's open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. 168 hours per week. When we take this ratio, for every 1 hour the stock market is open, crypto is open 5.17 hours. It's really helpful to know that when you look at any specific crypto, it's moving 5 times faster, 5.17 times faster than any stock would move. Also, its nature is incredibly explosive, generally either to the downside or to the upside. We talk a lot about buying the falling knife. This is called capitulation. We always look for capitulation. It's a beautiful thing to buy. Even though this particular crypto came down 83.63%, look at the rally. 970.68%. This is an example of why we buy the falling knife. I'd like to mention something else here. If you look at this particular price action, this is basically Bitcoin's price action at the present time. It's trading down, wobbling around, boring a lot of people out, but guess what? This kind of move is in store for Bitcoin. It is an exponential asset. It's going to catch a lot of people off guard, but hopefully not you. I've said many times to the community that solid foundations build rallies. It's just a basing pattern. This gives you an idea of what happens after you have a basing pattern with an exponential asset. A lot of people are bored with Bitcoin right now. Let's have a look at how much time that took. The base took around 58 days. Then this breakout occurred, it took about 14 days. The whole thing, about 72 days. Means the base was formed over around this down movement and the base. All of that was about 80% of the move. This is 20% of the move. This shows you how quickly things can reverse in crypto. Let's look at it a slightly different way. About 30% of that time was spent capitulating. Then about 50% of the time was spent forming that base. Then the blow off was 20% of that time. I hear all the time on YouTube channels, in the mainstream media, in the press, in the papers, that Bitcoin is incapable of doing this. Do you think it's incapable? Axie Infinity just did it. You can see just how volatile crypto is. We protect ourselves with the T-cubed method: trend, timing, and trigger. What happens? Every day we look at the true trend through the KS process. We look at the timing through the KS method, and we will discuss the trigger in a different method. Until we get the trend right and the timing right, getting the trigger right is the last thing we want to do. You can see just how volatile crypto is. It's really important to keep Rule 174 in mind. Typically what people do is they just say, oh, you know, I like my little stock, whatever crypto I've got in my portfolio, and I just want to trade it. I don't care what the trend is. Do you remember how we saw a massive reduction just in the previous analysis? That was because the trend moved against the crypto market. Therefore, the timing was not to buy when that crash was coming. Buy capitulation, sure, but knowing the trend is really, really vital. That's why we do 2 videos every single day, 7 days a week, because crypto moves so fast. Let's have a look at how Bitcoin is going right now. Bitcoin is still underneath this structural resistance line, and it's underneath this structural resistance line, which is a heavier line. Do you notice here the up channel of support is maintaining? We're getting a bit of fresh air under there as well, just above this particular open trend line. That's very good. We can see this down trend channel of support also holding price quite well. We know that this little bit of structural resistance isn't too much, but the one at around $35,000 is. Bitcoin is currently trading at $33,767. We're looking at support below of around 33,588, 32,834, and a really important structural support level of 32,414. The real key is to get over that 35,000 mark. Returning to that previous example, you notice how that previous alt sold off and then it based along here in a basing pattern. What do you see happening with Bitcoin? So many people will tell you that Bitcoin cannot do a V-shaped recovery. Wow, we're talking about an exponential asset class. We just saw Axie Infinity do it. Let's check out the longs and the shorts with Bitcoin. We see the shorts here in red coming up. We see the longs here in green increasing as well. Why do we need the shorts in the market? The longs and the shorts have a symbiotic relationship with each other. They're like light and darkness. They require each other to function in a balanced way. When the shorts come up and get liquidated, that actually raises the price up. So it's really interesting. We need more shorts in the market to fuel the next leg up. Let's have a look at the Ethereum longs and shorts as well. We can see the Ethereum shorts were increasing, and now starting to relatively decrease. The shorts have done a great job of liquidating the longs. When the longs come back into the market, they'll do the reverse. They'll liquidate the shorts. It's always a to and fro between longs and shorts. Let's have a look at Bitcoin options and the max pain price. We're picking the option expiration for the end of the month. These typically have the most liquidity. What we're interested in here is the structure. You know, to call up somebody is cool, and to put down someone is not very nice. So call up is for longs, put down is for shorts. You can see that there's a lot of open interest around the $40,000 to $45,000 mark. It's really important to also understand that the majority of options expire worthless. Price doesn't always gravitate towards the max pain price where the majority of options expire worthless. It's sometimes a magnet, but often not. But it does give us an indication of sentiment. Let's go through the Ethereum max pain price. Swapping across to Ethereum, we can see the max pain is 2400. Now we know Ethereum is currently trading at 21.25, so this is not a bad indicator for the end of the month. But look at all this. Look at all these call ups, all these longs. They're up to $10,000. It's no wonder that we have a lot of these options expiring worthless. But what it shows you is there is open interest at these particular prices. It could also be useful for us to track each day the percentage of calls, call up your friend, up is long, or put down is short. So there's about 46%. There's more downs in the Bitcoin market in terms of options than there are ups. But that doesn't really mean too much. It's about equal, really. Now, if we have a look at Ethereum, we see a very different perspective. The calls, 70% of the volume is related to calls. That's pretty impressive. We just track this every single day to form patterns. Let's have a look at the liquidation data. Over the past 24 hours, there's been $99.37 million of liquidations. 32,011 traders were liquidated. Over the past hour, about 85% of liquidations were short. And we can see when the shorts get liquidated, they form a red bar. That red bar pushes price up. When the longs get liquidated, the price comes down. It's quite useful to look at the net realized profit and loss. When there's too much profit being made over a sustained period of time, that particular area is ripe for shorting. We can see some pretty nasty shorts have come in here to symbiotically even out this process. I would say things are back in balance now. If we look at the stablecoin supply ratio, we can see the stablecoins are being deployed into Bitcoin. That's a really good sign. That indicates that we've hit a bottom. You can see here this rise in price, and see here rise in price. That's accumulation is occurring here. We always track fear and greed and liquidations and psychological safety. Right now, the shorts are feeling a lot of psychological safety. The current market is at 20, which is extreme fear. We know when psychological safety for the longs occurs, the shorts come in and rectify the situation. If the greed continues, the adverse optimism you might call it, the liquidations occur. This is part of the symbiotic relationship between longs and shorts. We can see here there's a basing pattern. We know what happens with basing patterns based on what I just showed you before. If you haven't had a chance yet, I'd recommend you look through episode 118. I actually go in and explain Bitcoin properties. I show Ethereum and Litecoin, and a couple of other people have asked me if I could put XRP up. Yeah, absolutely. Very happy to. I also showed a lot of other things, comparing Bitcoin to the price of Microsoft, Amazon, and Facebook. It's really, really interesting. It's quite fascinating episode. I think you'll find it really, really useful. That earlier episode is all about the trend. If you get caught in the wrong trend, if you buy when the trend is going down, you could suffer the same fate as that person suffered losing their account, especially if you're under leverage. So it's really, really important to know the trend. This episode is all about timing. And later episodes, I'll introduce you to the trigger. But for now, I'm relying on you to know when to pull the trigger because you know your financial situation better than I ever would. Part of our process to understand timing is to look at the top 7, the gainers, the losers, to try and form a picture of the overall market. Top 7, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tether, Binance Coin, Cardano, XRP, and Doge. Let's have a look at the top gainers. Stacks, the graph, Cosmos, Flow, Near, Luna, and Nano. Let's go the other way. Greatest losses, 24 hours, Telcoin, ZRX, HT, XDC, CEL, QNT, and EOS. Let's look the other way. What are the greatest percent gainers over the past 7 days? Axie Infinity. Axie Infinity was what I just took you through, so you can understand this price action now and how it occurred. Flow, KCS, Stacks, Synthetics, Terra, and Mana. Or Mana. The greatest 7-day percent losses, Telcoin, Internet Computer, Waves, XDC, Celo, Ethereum Classic, and Dogecoin. Looking into Binance derivatives, particularly the change in the price of the contract over the past 24 hours, gives us a really good view into the engine of crypto. You notice 24-hour trading volume is really low, isn't it? $34.5 billion. Imagine $34.6 billion is low. Wow. 24-hour open interest is 6.3 billion. Let's have a look at these changes. We're looking at percentages. We're looking particularly at double-digit gainers. Atom is around 8.4%. That's getting close. The graph, GRT, 11.5%. CHR, 7%. Not too many. OGN again. TRB at 10.5%. Keep at 15.2%. MTL 7.7%. And these are sort of lower liquidity. Unfi, Lit, not bad. Okay, and we can just look quickly at the futures there. Let's have a look at crypto total market cap. Total market cap right now is $1.376 trillion. We can see it's just trying to break out of resistance and go to 1.4 trillion. There's overhead resistance around the $1.463 trillion mark. I'd like to introduce you to Rule 512, assess naked price first. I joked a little bit about this in the previous episode on the timing side of it. Naked price is that you just look at price action. Let's have a look at Ethereum. Ethereum, currently trading at 21.25, is above support of 2100 and 2020. It's coming into resistance at 2178 and 2253. You notice this structural resistance turn to support here, and you notice this underlying structural support in or around the 1909 level. A lot of people have asked me how I draw these lines. I'd just like to show you. In episode 93, I take you really step by step through drawing structural support and structural resistance from a blank chart of T-Fuel. I think you'll find it really, really helpful and interesting. I also show you how to draw tight trend lines and normal trend lines and different things that give you an edge in the market. Let's have a look at Binance Coin. What do you notice here? Is this a basing action? What do bases do? They provide a platform for liftoff, don't they? We saw an example earlier about that. It's really important to understand and recognize what these particular patterns can mean. What else do you notice here in BNB? Do you notice this blue line, structural resistance, turn to structural support? What is that about? What does that mean? We can see some fresh air above that resistance line. We note some structural support below this line of structural support now. What is that telling you? Is it telling you the price is really well supported in BNB? It is. Yeah, that's fantastic. We can see that. What do we notice about the structural resistance up here? It's a long way away from the current price. That's also pretty cool. When you look at charts, try and interpret the story that they're trying to tell you. Many people have said, oh, Ken, why don't you put on indicators for this and that and other things? The reason is that I always want to see price in its purest form first. Putting indicators on charts is always a good idea, so long as there's not too many of them. When I draw my charts, it's very much like when we assess trend. There's only one line on the chart, generally for me. But as we're going through and I want to help transfer knowledge, I put all of these lines on for you. They're not for me. I don't trade this way. I trade just with a single line, and I'm sure you will too down the track. Binance Coin is currently trading at 321.53. It's above support at around 318, and there's support at 309 and 302. The next level of resistance that it's trying to get to right now is 327.48 and 339 even. Cardano is a absolute community favorite. You can see just how many people love it. Let's have a look into this price action, and I want you to try and figure out what is happening here. What's the structure of this? We can see a degree of upward basing. It's basing here inside this rectangle, but we see that the slope is upwards. Very, very good, very healthy. We know these firm foundations build skyscrapers, especially in exponential asset classes. We can see support below. So for example, ADA is currently trading at 133.95, pretty much at support. There's a lower level at 128.48. Then we get into our structural support levels at 124.11 and 121.27. This is quite well supported. Resistance above is at 140 and 144.86, and psychological resistance at 150. Psychological resistance is a whole number resistance. It tends to be an area where there could be sell walls. If it's below like $1, there would be buy walls there. They're typically hard to get through. That's why if you wanted to sell around $1.50, you could do 1.49999, for example. That's how I do it. If I wanted 150, I wouldn't want 150. I would want just below it. Because price is negatively biased, it does things like this, but sharp angles tend to reflect, so it does things like this, going up. We always know the price is moving in a wave. We don't FOMO, we're not concerned. We buy at support line down, expecting to catch a tail like this. The markets are really volatile. As you saw with the earlier example, you want to catch tails. Even though we don't think that they're going to come, they could be caused by any number of reasons. We don't worry about them. The best cause is a technical violation, which is designed to shake people out and attract the shorts. The shorts fuel price rises. As you can see, we go through it every day. You can see it. I'd like you to always keep in mind Rule 94. Let price come to you. You don't need to be in a hurry. Just let it come to you. It will. It's negatively biased. Let's have a look at Dogecoin. Doge is currently trading at 21,303, just literally at resistance. Oh, sorry, at support. We have support below at 19,990 and 18,753. We have resistance above at 22,200 and 23,393. We notice that Doge is acting kind of weak at the moment, which is really surprising because of some of the news articles that have been floating around. It must be very disappointing for Dogecoin holders to see this. However, we know the price is always moving in a wave. It's always moving up and down. We keep our eye on Bitcoin. It gives us the direction of the crypto market. Let's have a look at XRP. XRP is currently trading at 62.62, just pretty much at support and very close to structural resistance. And it's looking like it's going to take that out. That's pretty neat. We know that, well, we estimate that from the probabilities because we can see that this structural resistance has turned into structural support for a while. We're witnessing fresh air above this structural support and also lower levels of structural support. This is looking pretty good. We always have to keep our eye on it, and we know price is negatively biased, so if it doesn't get above it immediately, it's no big deal. We know price is always moving in a wave, but we would anticipate from probabilities that this will at least consolidate here and move up. The next levels of resistance are 65.60 and 67.40. Quite a few episodes ago, I picked out 4 different alts that were performing very, very well. They were in the top 24-hour percent gainers. Let's check in and see how they're going. Harmony, or One, was one of those top gainers when it did this particular action. Do you notice it came up to structural resistance, and what happened? It got pushed down. Price is always moving in a wave. We never FOMO. We just buy at support, buy at support, buy at support. We can see it's come down to 81.68. It has a lower level of resistance at 73.55 and a resistance above at 86.42 and 91.25. This suppression of price action around here is really nothing more than the repulsion of that specific structural resistance line. A lot of people have said, Ken, why don't you just get those out-of-the-box indicators that draw just draw resistance lines and support lines? I don't believe in them. I've seen many of those particular packages out there, and I think they draw highly ineffective analysis. I really love the concept of working a chart up by hand. It's kind of old school, but it's really powerful. Now, why is that a good idea? One, you know exactly what particular lines mean. And for example, you will find a lot of out-of-the-box indicators do not have a clue about structural resistance and support lines. Decentraland Mana was another one of those top gainers, and you can see in here it did very well. Price is always moving in a wave, so we never concern ourselves about FOMOing in. I've got this on the 30-minute because I wanted to show you this structural resistance line up here is the next structural resistance. That means Mana could fly. When it gets its act together, when Bitcoin decides to make a move and break out of its base, all of these alts are going to do incredibly well. Always remember, it's always alt season. Forget about dominance. Anybody who talks about dominance, I think, wow, you know, if you look at the charts, you don't even need to concern yourself with dominance. Dominance is a particular conceptual ideal or conceptual framework that can tend to lose you money. And I know, because I tried it in the past, it's just not better than actually drawing a chart up by hand and looking at Bitcoin's fingerprint and understanding the whole market. Let's have a look. Mana is currently trading at 73.43. Above is resistance at 76.24 and 82.05. Support below is 68.31 and 63.42. Let's have a look at Lunar Terra. I've just drawn this in just to give you a bit of a concept. The move from down here, this capitulation here, up to here, which is over 18 days and 7 hours, is a 91% increase. A little bit better than bank interest. Okay, let's have a look. Luna is currently trading at 8.204. It has support below at 7.958 and 7.429. It has resistance above at 8.604 and 9.027. It's not really going to encounter structural support until it gets around the $10 mark. Let's have a look at KSM, Kusama. Kusama did really well to get into that percent gainer for the past 24 hours, but then it pretty much retraced all of those gains and has been consolidating around 210. It has support below at 163.19 and resistance above at 260.45. Let's have a look at Chainlink. Chainlink is currently trading at 18.231. Now, I'd like to let you know that many people, when they're new, they just want to look at their particular alt and just want to know where support, resistance. Unless you get the trend and unless you get the timing, you could witness a really dramatic fall. Or you could miss a really fantastic rise. It's really important to go through the process. That's the T-cubed process. Trend, timing, trigger. It is really important. If you just want to pull the trigger, if you're here, what will happen? You have a 95% chance of losing money. If you go through these, trend, timing, trigger, you have a 5% chance of losing money and a 95% chance of being profitable. Of course, you need to know what you're doing, and that's really what this channel is about. I'm trying to share my knowledge that I've gained over many, many years. Chainlink, we can see, has a good basing pattern here. This gives it a capability to rise up. It's like good skyscrapers, tall buildings need very deep foundations. Always keep that in mind. It's really useful. Chainlink is currently trading at 18.220. It has structural support below at 17.209 and normal support at 16.698. It has resistance above at 18.960 and 19.966. I've been tracking Theta a little bit differently because I want to show you the intense structural resistance that Theta's price needs to overcome. It's getting squashed down because of all this resistance. If you have been really, really good and you've gone through all the past charts with me, you can see so many different variations between Theta and other tokens. That's really because the specific structural support and resistance lines in the particular tokens, the particular charts, influence their price significantly. We can see Theta basically needs to, its current price is 5.882. It really needs to get to this particular resistance level of 6.779. then it will have overcome all of this resistance. For example, the resistance that's playing in now at 6061, the resistance above that will come into play around 6114, the resistance above that which will play at about 6506, and the resistance above that will come into play at 6551. That's why we're looking for this particular 6779 level. This is a really interesting chart. A community member asked, what does under the water mean? Under the water means under structural resistance. Price is getting suppressed because there's so much resistance above it. This resistance is key because the shorts are playing along these lines, selling into that resistance and seeking to push the price lower. Thanks for that question. Really good one. Let's have a look at VeChain, another community favorite. We're seeing price right now at 76.85, just above support at 75.24 and 71.31. We have structural resistance coming into play at 80.45 and another resistance at 87.80. We can see this particular chart for VET. We see that the price has crossed above this resistance, but it seems to be suppressed. In all likelihood, it's because of this structural resistance playing in. When VET gets above 80.45, things start to clear up for it. It can start to move up with less restriction. You can see why it's so important to go through many charts. Really, going through other charts just gives you an idea of how price can behave with your favorite alt when it changes character, when it starts to look like this, for example. So let's have a look at Matic, Polygon. Matic is currently trading at 103.994. It's really sort of midway between resistance and support levels at the moment, structural resistance and structural support. It has structural resistance at 105.585, and you notice this overhead resistance coming down here at around the 112.672 mark. But also Matic has really good structural support below its current price at 101.203 and 95.360. Again, when it gets past this particular structural resistance line, Matic is going to start moving into fresh air. Fresh air means an absence of sellers. When Matic recovers up to just this peak here, from its current price up to there, it's around a 64.68% increase. Not a bad return. Let's have a look at Solana, Sol. Sol is currently trading at 32,100, just below its resistance of 32,464 and resistance above at 33,916. It has support below at 31,604 and $30. We can see this is quite a good pattern. It's showing strength. It's over this structural resistance, which is really good. It's got fresh air above that structural resistance, now turned to structural support. It's looking pretty good. Let's have a look at Polkadot. DOT is currently trading at 15,452. It's literally at support, just a little bit over. It has support below at 14,748 and 14,023. Resistance above at 16,441 and 17,297. Structural resistance is coming into play around the 2881 mark. Let's have a quick look at AVAX, Avalanche. You can see this structural resistance coming into play here at around 13,862 and 13,476. That structural resistance is dampening AVAX price. It's also got a little bit of structural resistance up around, you could say around the 16,010 mark. That's why AVAX is accumulating across this range. It's getting ready to build that skyscraper. Its current price of 12,211 is above support at 11,702, and there's also a psychological support at $11. Let's have a quick look at Cartesi. Cartesi, we can see, has a lot of overhead structural resistance coming into play. It's doing its best to get over this structural resistance. It's just building that base. We know what happens after a base is built and price breaks out above structural resistance and turns to structural support. It can be explosive. Cartesi is currently trading at 45,712. Support below is 40,408 and 35,551. There's also another level of support in here at 43,874. The key is this structural resistance coming into play at around 50 cents. Oh, sorry, yes, 50 cents. That is really expected because as soon as we get into whole numbers, we get psychological resistance. When we overcome that 50 cent mark, hey, the party's on. In episode 118, I talked about profit requires patience. This is a really, really important idea. You have the capability in trading and investing to make literally an unlimited amount of money and to be an incredible blessing to yourself and those around you. The real issue is it takes time to acquire the skills. That's like tilling the ground. It takes time to pick the right coins to invest in. It takes time for the returns to grow. And when you get your portfolio together, you can harvest a very rich crop. It all takes time, and the key thing is patience. I hope you found the content useful. Everything I do for you is free. Please be aware of scammers. Please say hi and let me know where you're viewing from, and if you have any questions or you would like me to look at anything, let's have a look at the Ethereum tokens while we're doing this. If you would like twice daily updates 7 days a week on price movements in the crypto market, please subscribe to YouTube and follow me on Twitter. Crypto is volatile. Always prepare yourself for the best and worst case scenarios. Reality will likely be between them. Just popping back to the main market now. Stay safe out there. Take care and see you next time. Bye for now.